This video is all about chapter 4 of our thesis. Let's take a look on the chapter overview, the presentation, analysis, and interpretations of data. This chapter presents a summary aligned with chapter title, focusing on the three major areas: the presentations, the analysis, and interpretations of data. It is typically composed of table and display the results of the study, followed by corresponding narrative interpretations that explain behind the data. How to write the introductory statement. This will be the sample of the introductory statement. This chapter provides the presentations of the statistical data relative to the problem posted. The corresponding analysis and interpretations of data are incorporated in these positions of the study. Let's take a look on guidelines number 1, which is structures and organizations of tables. Data should be presented in the table in terms of tabular form using a statistical analysis. Main questions here is, how should the table be organized? Which table should be presented first? And what follows next? This will be answered in guidelines number 2. Follow the statement of the problem. The organizations of the table should strictly follow the sequence of the statement of the problem. Start with SOP number 1, followed by SOP number 2, and so on. If SOP number 1 corresponds to one table and SOP number 2 corresponds to three tables, all three should be included in the succession under SOP number 2 before moving to SOP number 3. Always ensure the order reflects the SOP sequence. For guideline number 3, table placement and interpretations. Each table must followed immediately by the narrative interpretations. Use descriptive words to explain the values in the table, referencing the verbal interpretations in the mean score presented. This allows the reader to understand not just the data, but the implications. In guideline number 4, reflect the narrative techniques for data and interpretations. When interpreting the data, choose from the following three narrative techniques. Number 1, identify the highest and the lowest values in the table and use this as the basis of interpretations. In this manner, this is the most commonly used method. Number 2, present the highest, then the second highest, followed by the lowest value. Last but not the least, discuss the highest, lowest, and midpoint values for a balanced interpretations. Use the method that best fits to your data while maintaining clarity and relevance. Let's take a look on guidelines number 5. Table and figure formatting. The label table should be placed above the table, followed by the clear and concise title. The label figure should be placed below the visual or figure presented. Let's take a look on guideline number 6, how to provide the narrative transitions. Your role is not just to present the table. You must also guide the reader through them. Offer a brief transitional narrative that introduces and explain the significance of the result to maintain coherence and flow in the discussions. In Guideline 7, apply these tips throughout SOP sections. Implement all this strategy consistently throughout its sections that address the SOP. This ensures the uniformity and logical progressions in your chapter. For guideline number 8, avoid premature conclusions. Do not include conclusions or recommendations in this chapter. This section is purely for data presentations and interpretations. Conclusions are reserved for the next chapter. Note: you may include citations to reinforce key points, but use them sparingly to avoid overwhelming discussions. Let's take a look on the sample. As you can see, the presentations of Chapter 4 are seen in this picture. At the top is the Chapter 4, followed by the title, Presentation, Analysis and Interpretations of Data. Then you need to have the introductory statement of your chapter, followed by, in this manner, the sample of this study will be lacking on the transitionary statement, because in this area, you need to have, before the firmographic profile of the business, you need to state that table 2 present that blah blah blah, in order for you to have the transitions of that particular area. Let's take a look on chapter 4 on the actual presentations. You need to have, or to begin with, a concise transitional statement to guide the reader, and then proceed with the formal presentations of the table. In this manner, as you can see, we do have table number 2, a firmographic profile of the business in terms of company size. That is the table title. And then followed by the tabular table, or the table per se. Then after which is the narrative presentations of your data, presenting the whole area of the table tabular form. Begin with the table number and title placed above the table. Then after presenting the table, follow immediately with the narrative interpretations that explain the data and its implications. I hope you learn from these presentations. Good luck and God bless.